I've had to nick Jess's mirror just to show you that I've actually ended up dressing as one of the dreamers, accidentally on purpose. It's pretty cool. I wasn't sure what to use as the splash of red, but I've gone for my little clip-on tiny hat instead of my big top hat, which is a shame because it actually does go quite well, so maybe I'll wear that at some point in the video, just for shits and giggles. So I know that this is a week early, but that's because I'm going on holiday tomorrow and I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. I figured it was better to be a week early than a week late. The next video is still going to be 2 weeks on from when it would normally be, so 3 weeks on from now, on the 23rd. I can do numbers. The Night Circus. I had lent this to a friend, I only got it back yesterday, the day before. I've read it already, so I thought, hey, I can skim read it, get the gist. Couldn't do it. It was like physically impossible for me to skim read it. I like sinking into it. It's a glorious book. I love it. One of the things that I really like about it is it's just so well presented. I mean, this is a book that really advertises itself well by the cover. I mean, it's very striking. The black and white with the, very contrasting red. The black-edged pages are something that I really like. I've got the hardback edition as well, so if I take the cover off, it's bright red underneath with a clock face on it. It's beautiful. And the inside has, black and white hats with a couple of red ones. I really like these to mark your place. That's something else that I really like about it. Any book or any text that addresses you, the reader. I think it's second person. I've done that in my writing workshops and it's pretty difficult to stick to it. The Night Circus does that really well. It feels like you're walking through the circus as you're going through the story. It's very cleverly done. The switching timescales thing is a little bit confusing. I did find it, so the first time that I read it, I was tempted to, make a timeline so that I wouldn't get completely confused. Second time reading it, it was a lot easier, although I did still have to flick back a few times to check a few dates. It sets itself up as a very pretty book and then completely dashes that in just the first few pages when Prospero meets Celia for the first time and his first reaction is, well, fuck! A small swear word can go a long way. I think Neil Gaiman does that in the beginning of Stardust when Yvain crashes to Earth for the first time. It's in really tiny text and it's just fuck, because she's broken her leg. But we're not talking about Stardust. I really like the inclusion of the Dreamers. I don't know how to pronounce it in French. The Revers? I don't know. They're basically hardcore fans, and I think that's brilliant that a book has included something from the perspective of a fan. It is, I imagine, just like that. If you meet other people who are avid fans of something that you are an avid fan of, you feel connected to them pretty much instantly. You have something to talk about, you have something that you both relate to, that you're both really passionate about, and that sort of viewpoint is very rarely seen in books. I really engage well with the characters. They're all so lovely. I like how the rules of the game aren't revealed until quite late, so you're frustrated just as much as Celia and Marco are when they finally realise that one of them has to die for the game to be over. I really love Tsukiko as a character. Her and Hinata, I think her opponent's name was. It's just a really sad story, and it makes me happier for Celia and Marco knowing that they have at least temporarily escaped the final moment. What I'd really like is the story of Tsukiko and Hinata. I'd love to know how that went, because this was apparently very different from the other competitions before. I mean, the venue is very public, and I'd love to know how the other ones went, even though they all ended sadly and tragically. It's a horrible game that they made them play, which I guess, accounts for the lure of this, because on the surface it looks very superficial, but underneath there's this literally life-threatening game, and everything that they do ends up with someone being influenced. It's sinister and delightful at the same time, and I really like that mix. Everything seems very pretty, very perfect, like the circus itself, up until I think around the point where Tara dies, and the horrible deterioration of Chandresh's mind. Chandresh or Chandresh? How did you pronounce it? Tell me. I find that really upsetting to read, actually, just the way that he kind of lost himself the longer the circus went on, and I was really happy at the end when Poppet visited him and kind of cleared his mind and confirmed that pretty much any problem can be effectively cured with the application of a kitten. I'm a firm believer in that. The death of the clockmaker as well was very sudden, very horrible, especially with the kind of premonition, because that Poppet sees something coming and she screams for some reason, and it's horrible when it happens. This is a book that I'm definitely going to end up rereading a lot of times because it's beautiful. It's a really beautiful book. I hope that you guys enjoyed it as much as I obviously did. Tell me what you thought. Who, favourite characters, favourite moments. If you're interested as well in more about the Night Circus, there's an interactive game, I think, online somewhere. And on Erin Morgenstern's website, there's an additional chapter that describes how the carousel works. Our next book is Wild Magic by Tamora Pierce. This was one of the requested ones, and I kind of cheated because it is a book that I have already, but I don't even care because it's a really good book and I can totally vouch for how awesome it is. I'm very enthusiastic about this series. I read the first one in my library at school when I was, I don't know, 13, 14-ish? I don't know. It's a fantasy series of 4, this one. This is the Immortals series. Tamora Pierce has written several series of books set in this world. Including The Song of the Lioness and Protector of the Small, I think is another one. Wild Magic focuses on a girl called Dane who has had to leave her village. She's run away for an undisclosed reason that you don't find out until some way in. Her mother is dead, killed by bandits, and she has no idea who her father is. And she has a gift with animals. She can speak to them in her mind, she can talk to them, they can talk back. It's good, it's a really good series. Ugh, I love it so much. There are dragons, guys. I mean, you can't go wrong with dragons, am I right? I don't think this should be too difficult to get hold of. It's quite small, so it can't be very expensive. There's also a site that my sister just told me about recently. I think it's called Abe Books, link below. She told me that it's a place where you can get secondhand books dirt cheap, which I think this is the kind of crowd who will appreciate that kind of news. But yeah, Wild Magic by Tamora Pierce. I'm going to review that on the 23rd, is it? 23rd. So yeah. I hope you guys liked the Night Circus. Tell me what you thought. Don't forget, you can, keep recommending books for the book club. Have a good 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whenever I next see you. Bye!